I gotta move a link around. Welcome to the Everyday Sniper. You got Frank at Snipers Hide, and this Sunday morning, how's everybody doing? Welcome, welcome. I gotta pull stuff up because who knows who's gonna pop on. My thing's going a little bit slow this morning, so I'm doing things in a little bit. There it goes. Now it's up and running. Takes like that long for the delay for it to go through uh, the different systems. I just wanted to make sure I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. All right. I look like I'm good. Morning, everybody. Morning, Sunday morning. I got my foamy coffee. Love foaming my coffee on a Sunday morning. So Friday night, Saturday, yesterday morning, I watched Age of Disclosure, the UFO documentary on Amazon. And it to me it did a good job of trying to legitimize like what people are saying and seeing. So they had like 34 people that popped in and were like, "We saw stuff and we're telling you things." And it's a goof. They brought up like the STS guys and the DOE guys, and I did the classes with Jacob with both the STS and the DOE guys. We did both sets of classes over at JSOC, and it's a goof because they're like, the STS over at Pope. And it's like we came in through Pope and then went to Bragg and did like range 29 with them or something like that. But it was easier through them to go in through Pope. But the age of disclosure, it's basically everybody saying we got stuff, we've seen stuff, they just won't tell you about stuff. And it absolutely does go back to the Manhattan Project. I mean, they tell you straight up why nobody can pierce the veil the way they want to is because it's classified the same as the Manhattan Project. And it even predates, the CIA proper, if you want to put it that way. So even their involvement is after the fact because energy, right? It was energy first. And then, the Intel people got froggy and now they want everything. And so, but yeah, man, it was a good documentary. It's trying to, I want to say, repair a little bit of credibility for people because some of the people in there had lost a lot of credibility. And so, they're basically looking to repair their credibility with, some of their stuff, and I think it does a good job. Like I said, they parade a lot of people through in an effort to say, well, you can't impeach that guy's opinion. And, the fact they got so many of them to come by and to say, yeah, we're not telling you everything, or yeah, what you're implying is probably right, without straight. I mean, they did come, you know, in the documentary, saw it, real, was there. So you had that. Now, do you have a picture? Saw it, here it is. This is real. I was there. No, they're just saying, I was there. I saw it. It's real. And take my word for it, more or less. You know what I mean? They're like, take my word for it. It's all real. And so I have to do too. I need to do a 30-second vertical video today for the web people, the Audentio, the Audentio people who do my website, and they've been doing it since right around COVID, like 3 months before COVID sprung on us. The Audento people, hang on, I got to get my footrest moved. Really made a difference on Sniper's Hide coming back from that scout fiasco and trying to go mainstream with them, and then Scout falling down and getting scooped up by CBS News, and CBS didn't want anything to do with the shooting website. So it was one of those deals where, CBS is like, nah, ain't happening. And so that I have to do a 30-second, anniversary. I got to check it out and go back and be like, oh, what are the dates? What are everything? Make sure it reads correctly to do that. And then the other thing I'm doing, I'm in the middle, or I'm in the beginning stages, I guess, of assembling the book for Gun Digest. So I got outline my book. I got the tips and trick book coming out in 2026. And so I'm assembling it right now to hand over to Gun Digest. So I spent the day yesterday looking at the intro and tuning up the intro to the book and laying out where I am today, where I'm going with everything. And it really is about less is more. It's a process, not an event. I'm taking lessons learned for this book from the Mark and Frank classes, from the Chris classes, and even from I start out talking a little bit of rifles only, with a Lindy quote. I threw a Lindy quote in there, and Chris was just talking about Lindyisms, and there's a lot of Lindyisms, and Lindy doesn't say a lot, but when Lindy speaks, there's usually a Lindyism in there. And so the one that I put in the beginning, this is a tips and tricks book, right? But there's still a process. You can't ignore the trade, as a lot of guys like to say. It's one thing to go for the tips and tricks, but you still have to understand the trade in order for those tips and tricks to make sense, right? But the Lindyism that I started out in the beginning using was amateurs practice till they get it right, professionals practice till they can't get it wrong. Right? So that's what's going on with that. We started out that line in my introduction to the new Gun Digest book that I'll have coming out in 2026. And I'm talking process for people because things change. And change is another element of this book that I'd rather give you high levelisms, fast is fine, accuracy is final kind of isms, and then let you make your decision. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going do this, do this, do this, as much as I'm saying these are the things we're looking to accomplish. These are the ways we found accomplishing it is easiest. This is a direction people have tried that I'd recommend not going down. So I'm giving more high level advice in this book than being very specific. Now, don't get me wrong, we're going to talk gravity ballistics from the weaponized math in the first book to the change to gravity ballistics and how we're using it today. Today, I'm using gravity ballistics or data gathered through gravity ballistics in a way I didn't use in the past. In the past, I was very software dependent. I was very software heavy. Computers, gadgets, things like that. I love it. It's like, give me a freaking calculator. I'm a happy guy. And so ballistic calculators, my watches, all the tools that we have out there, from a Kestrel to a Garmin to Applied Ballistics to the Maztec laser that's right here next to me, right? I was very dependent on that. Well, years and years, yeah, you can't write and so morning, Howard. But yeah, so I'm going more in that direction where it's like I even say if someone says to you, "Well, that works for me." You go to you go to somebody who shoots well. You watch them succeed at a match and you say, "Show me." But that person's not really geared towards instruction, geared towards teaching you how they do it. They may not really know how they do it. They just know, again, their process works really well for them. And so when you go to show somebody, well, this is my process, that other person can't adapt to it as easily as well. I don't do things that way. Well, it works for me. That's a clue right there to tell you that person, yes, that works for them and that they're not designed to instruct. And I explain in there the good, bad shooter, right? The good, bad shooter is a shooter who, from the outside, looks like they shoot well. Their groups are small. They accomplish what they're looking to do in that context, and they're accomplishing their personal goals. They look like, wow, look at him shoot. But then when you look at it and you break it down, they're slapping the trigger. They're not straight behind the rifle. Soon as they slap the trigger, they're moving. And there's a lot of these little things that we look for as instructors that this person's doing wrong, but they're doing it wrong well. Factor of repetition, right? We can repeat something so much that we adapt to it and then we get good at it because it's repeated. Now, once you change higher level elements within that person shooting, give them, from their belly to a bench, from the bench to the belly to the barricade, whatever it may be, they usually have to start over. And coming from box A and moving into box B, there's a little bit of a transition that's not always smooth, right? So that would be an example of a good, bad shooter. Then they'll go off, practice this thing that they're not doing as well at, and it's a sort of trial and error. Work it, work it, work it, then they reappear and they do well, right? How they got it was a bit of trial and error. Let me try this. Nope, that didn't work. Try this. That doesn't work. They don't have a repeatable process. And in this intro for the book, I'm talking about that process and the repeatability of it and having something that works and sticking to that, but not falling into a box to give you a training scar, a competition scar, something like that, where we look at it. And I've seen it a dozen times talking to people because guys who, like myself, a little bit older, one of them I remember was Scotty Parks, was at Vortex. He's at Geisley now. Scotty Parks came up to me and he was shooting the 6 mils. He's shooting stuff comps. He's doing comps all the time. Light, fast, flat shooting stuff. Well, then he jumped back into a 308 and was like, wow, me with a 308 isn't the same as me with a 6 millimeter, because I got so used to the nothing of the 6 miller recoil, the, over breaking them, which is not a bad thing. It's just a lot of break masks, a lot of problems. And so if you can mechanically set a rifle up, lighter, softer shooting caliber, not a heavy bullet, right? Balancing that rifle up in some weights, making it heavier. It's not a 12-pound rifle, it's a 20-pound rifle. Then the recoil, the brakes, the things, and then the trigger, bringing that trigger down so low, masking, tapping, slapping, things like that. And it allows the rifle to shoot itself. The weight makes up for the error. The light trigger hides your slap. All these things come into play and you do well. You point it in the right direction, you back off of it, you tap it, you stay away from it, it hits the target, you move on to the next thing until you change caliber. Then you go to back to a 308, you go to something big and heavy. Now, recoil's a thing. You have to manage that recoil. You don't have that overbrake because it's harder to overbrake it. And so now you have to drive that rifle. You have to manage that recoil. You are an integral part of that system in executing the firing task. When that happens, right? You see a difference and people notice that. So that's why we want you to be, in the term I'm using in the book, a practical marksman, right? We're looking for somebody who's a practical marksman and not a one trick pony. Okay. Can you drive the gas gun as well as you drive the bolt gun? Can you interact between calibers, a heavier caliber and a lighter caliber, a heavier rifle and a lighter rifle, right? Are you able to take that 10-pound hunting rifle that with that short action magnum and see the results of your shot and not just have a rifle explode in your hands and hope you hit the target? That's not what we're looking for, right? We're looking for control. It's called trigger control. It's not called slap the trigger, hope it works, and it is a blind sort of thing. You will have somebody sort of the KYL, TYL mindset. I'm going to shoot the first one and get an idea where that impacts. And then from there, bang, 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 as fast as I can and no mind it. And I'm just going down, trying to fall in between the wind call, right? I'm just eyes, great white shark rolling in the back of my head. And I'm just there, boom, 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 boom. Got it. Well, that works, right? That's a technique. But understanding how to get there, the process, right? We tell, like, I just posted a video, Chris posted a video, his boar sighting, and like the process. And there's a clue into what he's doing in that 1 minute video. It's a Riflecraft 1 minute video. And he's taking, and we switch scopes, like backstory. I did it with the Colin X thermal. I move barreled actions and I move scopes around. As I'm putting things together, it's like, okay, I have this and I have this, and I marry them together. I Lego it, right? I'm putting my rifles together and saying, because I have terminuses and things like that. And so it's like barreled action, barreled action, barreled action, then stock, 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 chassis and stocks. Well, I had a flurry of, whatever, and working the 6 arc, decided I like the 6 arc. I got the 6.5 Creeds, and I'm using the Matterhorn chassis, and I have the lighters and the smallers, but then the heavies and the chassis. And so I wanted to balance where these barreled actions were put in together because I'd moved everything around. I'm no longer doing the Valkyrie. I took it out of a chassis I enjoy so I could put something in that chassis I'm going to shoot, because I'm not shooting the Valkyrie anymore, but I want that chassis. So I put the Valkyrie in a different chassis. Well, I grab these rifles, I get it up, and I think I'm going to shoot a 6.5 Creed, and it's the Valkyrie barreled action. And it's like, oh, dang, right? And it's like the process of putting all this stuff together. So it was like, oh, shoot, this is a Valkyrie now. So what I'm saying is, we move shit a lot. And I have a lot of rifles where I grab them like a golf club before I go. And I'm really just grabbing all right, that one and that one and that one. And that's what I did. Well, Chris has showed a video of boar sighting because we do it a lot. Just like I explained, we're always moving something. This is a little better on my eyes, and I'm going to go do this with this, so I want this one over here. Shit like that. Scope's moving because it's like, I need this, and I'm going to go work with it, and I don't want to think about it, so I want the one I don't think about versus the one I do think about. Tom Cruise, No Mind. It's in my book, right? So Chris does his bore sight video, and his first rounds are like whoop, and it goes, and then the next one whoop, and it's like a half inch away from each other. So he's looking at his first round goes, and then he moves his reticle to where the round hit. I'm aiming here, I hit here, move my reticle to there. He sends a second round, and it's about a half inch apart. And he does it in short order. He's not really wasting a lot of time. Boom, boom, he's there. Now he brings his point of aim over to the center of his shooting seat because he moved the reticle over. Well, his first round goes in the little craft wind X ring of his bullseye targets. He has these orange targets he uses. First round goes in his little X ring. Second round goes in the same hole. Not wasting a lot of time in between these shots, but you can tell he was like, get it done, get it done. It matters, it matters. And then 3 rounds went in the same hole on the video. It said so much without him bringing any attention to it at all. Right? It said so much about what he's doing and how he's doing it. And in 3 rounds, 5 total, like 1 mag, he's bore sighted his rifle and re-zeroed it. Like where it was, I would have left it and just spun my turrets and dialed them back. It was fine, right? He's in his little bitty X ring, which is like a 1/10 for him, and he's within 1/10. But he looks at the practical accuracy. He's looking at doing these things. And in this case, it's an event for him, but he has a process and he's relating the process. His process makes the time for his event shorter, right? But these are processes, not an event. If you just go to the range and say, I'm going to zero the rifle, and then it's there, right? Laura's laughing about it, right? Well, that was a big change on ammo, and we changed your scope. So her scope was not even really in the, but we didn't bore sight it either. Nobody bore sighted it because we had forgot that it was all taken apart. So that was just again, moved everything because she wanted her rifle put together, and it was completely out of the ballpark, and nobody bothered to realize because it was like, oh, this is zeroed. It wasn't zeroed. That was the problem. And then if we reversed ourselves and went back, started over, but instead everybody went, oh, isn't it zeroed? Is it a rev? Instead of going, no, it needed to be zeroed. And it's just not managing our equipment because, again, I had moved everything, moved suppressor, moved scope, moved barrel action into a new stock, and then thought it had been zeroed, and it hadn't been. For all I know, Laura, your rifle isn't even tightened down everything. We may not even have torqued it because that's how I just threw it together and figured we'd go to the range and then put it in. But there was too much time between trips, and I stopped thinking about your rifle. It's now your rifle. You said change this, I changed it. You didn't come out and do it. So now I stopped thinking about it. It's your job to think about it, and nothing got done. I would even bet a ring is loose because of the way it was moved, but that's happened. Manage your rifle, right? I can't be managing everybody else's stuff anymore. I even say that to people. It's like I can't think about you anymore. Like I used to be able to. I'll think about me. I'll think about you. I'll think about 10 rifles. I'll think about the website, and I can go right down the list of my brain. It'll just my brain has the checklist like right there. Now the checklist is like on the floor, crinkled up, and it's been used so many times. It's tore off. It's like a reusable one, but it's been erased and started over so many times. It's now, and so I can't manage that many things. It's like, no, I can't think about your shit and my shit anymore. You have to do your stuff. I can't do it because before I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll do yours, I'll do mine, I'll do the next one. And then because my processes have changed, my brain doesn't manage my checklist. I used to have a 10 item checklist. Now it's 3, and most of those 3, like 2 of the 3 are me. And so there's very little room in my checklist anymore for for doing any of that stuff. So, like I said, I can't manage it, and like when I'm moving things and re-zeroing things. If you're not there with me, you fell behind, and it's gone. I can't help you now. That's on you. You didn't come when we were doing it. But yeah, I got that, and then the gravity ballistics and the craft win. Like I said, using those two together took me away from an app, took me away from the Kestrel. I What happened was doing these gravity ballistic worksheets so much, cuz I do them all the time. I'm always using these worksheets cuz it's written. And then I can go in it and I have it, and as I go and dope a rifle, I have the worksheets are everywhere at the range because everybody's using them, right? So gravity ballistics worksheets are just everywhere. So you get a new rifle, new caliber. I did the 6 arc, and then with the 6 arc, so I go from Valkyrie to 6 arc. Well, I don't just go from Valkyrie to 6 arc something. I check the 80. I check the 103. I check the 105. I check the 108. So now I'm segmented even further. And that's where these sheets come into play, right? It's like, okay, what's this doing? And I go through excuse me, I got coffee burp. I go through my process. Then I do the next sheet. I'm doing the 105, process. Then I go, okay, let me try the 103s, process. Well, then I can sit back and just kind of chill. And I'm old school, old dude, and I can read shit like manually. And so I sit back and I go, okay, 600 yards. All right, this guy's a 3.4. All right, 600 yards. This guy's a 3.6. Okay, 600 yards. All right, this guy's like a 3.3, 3.4 too. All right, that's cool. And then I'm looking at my numbers. And so then I can go, all right, I like that guy. And then it helps me make my decisions easier. And I was saying, like, because again, we're thinking about the move, right? So now my head is sort of like 1/3 of my brain right now is in, I have to move by March, right? It's November. I have to move by March. So I'm thinking about that part of my brain. And so everything's going in those processes for that. And I'm divided, right? I just lost my train of thought right there because I'm thinking about too many things at one time. And it's that. But I go do the 6 arc, I go do all that. But what I was saying, thinking about this move, I'm back to it, is I spread things out. I'm not dirty, I'm more cluttered. But my brain has to go, that's there, that's there, that's there, that's there, that's there, that's there. And if I go, oh, I need that, it assembles it and goes, it's there. Right? If I put it away, when something gets put away, I forget I put it away because now I'm no longer thinking about it. I'm no longer worried about it. It has to be out. It's gone. It's put away. I'm not using it. But when I need, or I know I might be using something or going, I have to have it where visually my brain goes, oh, it's over there. Like I can't go, oh, it's in a drawer. If it goes in a drawer, it's done. It's put away. If it goes in a, if it's laid out in a closet and I know I put it in that closet, well, then visually I have to be able to go, it's there. If it's tucked away, I'll never see it. Like I laughed one time. I was going on a trip and on my desk I had a suppressor. And I'm like, oh, and I put it away. But I just tossed it so it wasn't laying out on the desk. I lost it for 6 months and found it in the desk behind the files in the back. So I just dropped it away, not thinking about it, and lost the suppressor in the drawer for 6 months. And it was like, "Where is it? Where is it?" And even retracing my steps didn't work because it was put away, and, like, I didn't go in a closet in the clutter where I could see it. It went away. And then I did the trip and stopped thinking about it, where it wasn't like I went to, "Oh, when I get home, I'll put it away." It's, 10 days later. And so, again, that process, it's a process, not an event. Zeroing with some people, right? With the craft drill is a good way of looking at it. Shooting that prone shot, checking your zero, then shooting a standing shot, right? Because you have that distance between where your head changes and your head position and things. So, looking at, is my prone zeroed in the same place as my standing? That's a process, right? And then how much time on that event you spend depends on where it falls. So you do your process. And that's how it goes, man. You got to do your processes. And so maybe you nudge it. Like I certain rifles, and especially now lifting the scopes up, it might throw the zero from prone to standing off a little bit. And if you're doing a match that's a combination of everything, might not be prone zero anymore. It might be zero in the middle. Maybe you nudge it. Maybe I got to nudge my zero from prone. So it's like, I know if I zero it and check my zero right here, okay, that's good. But my standing is here. So I want to come a tenth and change it and then reset there. I could check it prone, but then I know I'm going to move it. That could be part of your process. Or you check both and you say, okay, I'm going to nudge it in the middle of them. So that way, there, when I'm standing, I'm more likely to shoot here versus when I'm prone, I'm more likely to shoot here. And then when I'm in the middle, it'll fall right there and I won't be able to tell the difference, right? It's just like good. So that's where it's at, man. So yeah, processes. So that's where part of the book doing that. And then they like I said, one of the things they were sort of like, give us your advice on which rifle to buy. And I'm like, I'd rather give you advice on what each thing brings to the table. Where if you go short, if you go long, if you go, rather than saying buy a Tika, and it's like, because in my mind, and there's some changes are going to happen for SHOT Show and things. And what if I say, buy this, and then a company gets bought or sold or changes something, and then the name changes? Now it's like, oh, you know, it's not the Tika T3X anymore. It's the T565. It's the T blah blah blah. But I called it a T3. Buy a T3X. Oh, we discontinued that. Buy a Savage 110. Oh, we discontinued that. We call it the Savage 10FP now. Mm. Oh, I meant to complain too with my incense, the frankincense today. I can't figure out how to burn the bag of frankincense. I got to figure out how to get a flame or something under it to burn the frankincense. I'm like, how the heck does this frankincense shit burn? I could do the incense sticks, the things, but the chunks I don't know how to burn. Sort of crazy. I don't I got my butt kicked by frankincense crystals. So I don't know how to make them smell. It's nuts. I can make coffee, but I can't make frankincense crystals. Man, none of my I wonder if I went onto my YouTube channel. Yeah, it must have been because nobody's on the YouTube channel. I'm surprised most of the YouTube people are squawky, and all of a sudden the YouTube people are all quiet this morning. Sunday morning, It could be too my strikes over there, and they're not advertising me or not doing stuff because YouTube struck me. And with that intro, they did a whole bunch of weirdness. So who knows? Oh, speaking of struck Springfield Armory uh, giveaway. Springfield Armory Leopold Scope giveaway for everybody that's on the hide. I'm probably gonna draw the winner December 1st for the Black Friday giveaway for the Springfield Armory Heat Seeker 2020. So I'll be drawing that most likely December 1st. December 2nd, we're going to Florida. I have a law enforcement clinic I'm doing down outside of Fort Myers in Florida, and then I'm gonna probably take a day and go shoot a hog or two at my cousin, West Palm area. But yeah, we'll be down in Florida December 2nd. So December 1st, I believe I will be drawing for the Heat Seeker 2020. Uh oh, he did. Okay, you did get a notice. All right. um the YouTube guys came in. So yeah, head over to the hide. How many rounds do you bring to the range when you go? And that's making you, and she said there's a lot of people in there, so this giveaway worked out really well. She's like, because I was like, ooh, the second I'm gonna be on an airplane and flying to Florida, I said I'll be in the hotel room. I could probably do everything December 2nd. And they were like, "Ooh, it's a little big. We may have to do a bunch of it." And so I'm doing it the first before I fly away on the second for the LE clinic that I'm doing. And again, I'm going to be talking there a little bit of the gravity ballistics as it plays in with craft wind, cuz those two are analog solutions that work together. The math is similar. The way you get your answers are similar. The amount of math is very similar. Because any way we look at this, we have to do math, and doing math in public sucks, right? And so trying to get these numbers as easy as possible to dope your rifle and then to use it from that point in your ballistic calculator. So if you do travel location, the ballistic calculators, and then Chris was just talking about that on the last live, the Garmin watch, how we like and we run the Garmin watch. And the Garmin watch has applied ballistics in it, but it also acts like a Kestrel. The only thing the Garmin watch is missing and is now replaced by the Calypso is wind. You can connect a Calypso to the Garmin watch to give you a wind reading as well. But the Garmin watches have full blown applied ballistics in it, and they have temperature, and they have the weather readings in it as well. And so I don't believe they have temp. I think you need the tempi for it, but they do something with temp, either pulling it just from the weather app you have connected. So I believe it'll grab temp from a weather app, locally. But because in the past I had to have a tempi, and have a tempi on my gear that then the Garmin spoke to when I was getting dope. But I think now, because the way it communicates with applied ballistics, it's pulling some temp. But Chris noticed traveling from one location to another, his Garmin watch was keeping up very well, and I've always used the Garmin that way for our data. But for the most part, I just use the gravity ballistics. And once I'm at a location and I know my 600-yard dope, the rest of it is pretty easy to tell me. I mean, inside 5, that data very rarely changes. The weather doesn't have time to work on your bullet. It's after 6 that your travel, your weather, your movement up and down mountains and things, your DA will fluctuate more, um, as far as that goes. So, but if you're just going to a home range and shooting inside 1,000 yards, like we do, I don't use a calculator anymore. I'm just using the gravity ballistics. So that's a big part of that. And I equate that to the process of seeing dope unfold manually in front of me. Like, as I'm doping a rifle with gravity ballistics and I'm writing the worksheet in, so then when I go and add it to a calculator, when I go add it to a Kestrel, when I go add it to my watch, it's pre-trued. But prior to pre-truing it, I'm doing manual math. Simple. 1 times 1.75. Ooh, 1/8. Woo. You know? And so stuff like that. And so, but I see it, and I see the pattern of my dope unfolding. So as I had said, previously, I do really well with pattern recognition. And so once my brain sees the pattern, and by that it's 600 yards, because I've gone through this process so many times, the event of saying what's my dope is shorter, right? It takes no time because my processes had set me up for success. And so that's going to be part of my book. That's the opening of my tips and tricks, is to discuss the process. Like, we can find a lot of tricks. And tripod rear is one. How many times did somebody blindly see another shooter use tripod rear, go to execute that untested, unpracticed, and then get tangled in the tripod? And then you see the tripod fly out, right? You can't just go, oh, what did he do? And then copy it. It usually requires us to practice, right? The repetitions. We got to check it. We got to try it. We got to make sure I know how I'm going to slide that in. Because then what happens? If I go to push that tripod out, it collapses. Created a new tool, created Leofoto to make the lock that goes in there. You pull and turn, right? Now your tripod's locked open, and when you're moving it, doesn't collapse anymore. Or they sell the part that you put up in there, so when you move it, doesn't collapse anymore. Now, if you know it's going to collapse and you lift it up by that leg, bring it in and put it down, shoot with it, lift it up, bring it out, put it away. And if you practice the mechanics, the choreography of moving it without dragging it, solves a problem as well, right? In the book, I mentioned 4, right? The solution is 4. Give me the question, right? My solution is 4. What's my question? That's something I talk about. How many different ways can you get to the answer 4? 1 plus 3, 5 minus 1, 2 plus 2, right? There's a lot of different ways to get to 4. And so it's understanding the process. If you get to 4, 2 plus 2, because I know 2 plus 2, I'm good. 2 plus 2, 4. But maybe you're like, oh, I think in 5, 5 minus 1, that's 4. Because 5 is my number, right? And so if that works for you, and that's what I'm saying, if you may stumble across somebody who says 2 plus 2 is 4, and you go, yeah, but I use 5 minus 1. Well, but 2 plus 2 works for me. Okay, right? 2 plus 2 is 4. Yeah, but I don't think like that. 5, 10, 15, 20, minus 1, I'm 4. Oh, like Chris with percentage, right? Chris in the win thinks in percentage. Oh, I'm 1.25% of 6. Oh, 0.8. You know, and that's how he thinks. But for me, 1.25. Oh, okay. or 125%. 150%. Oh, not 1.5%. Okay. 150%. Oh, easier. Right? 4. How many different ways can you get to the answer? 4. Because that's where we're at. And that's what we're doing with this guy. But yeah, man. Thanksgiving this weekend. Hope everybody's all set. We're having prime rib. My daughter's flying out from California. So she'll be out here Tuesday. I think she's giving me a countdown. So every day she calls me. She calls a lot. But every day she calls me and she says, 3 more days, 4 more days, 2 more days. And so I'm getting a countdown. So the phone rings and rings. It's like, and it always rings when you walk away. I like hate being like tethered to this guy. It's so annoying. It's like, do I have to be tethered to this thing? And like I walk away and it rings. Now I just go, because my brain, right? I can't multitask where before it's like, oh, my phone's ringing. Now I'm like, I don't care. Don't care. So I walk away. Right? That's where we're going with that stuff. But cool, man. Nice Sunday morning. Everybody's there. Got stuff going on. Thanksgiving. Mellow week. Like I said, I'm assembling the book. I'm fine tuning some of the chapters. I'm putting some of the things together. Changing a little bit how I look at giving you the information. I don't want it to be do this. Hey, these are the solutions you're looking for. These are the goals. These are the element, right? Like I said in the book, you can get a guy who has a very, like, he's got a Savage in 308 and he's had it for 15 years, but he likes to go to his local match. He's not even mid-pack. Maybe he comes in right. You get 60 people in your match. He's always 45. Maybe he gets a 35. But 45's his average. Right? Everybody just passes him because they're going 6 mils, whiz bang, and all that. Well, he can go there with a goal of saying, I want to do this with my 308. And succeed and get his goals where a guy can go and buy something whiz bang, be 10 places ahead of him and not know how he got there and what he did. And really just be like, oh, I don't know. I just pointed in and I shot. I must be amazing. I beat that guy that does it all the time. And it's like, well, no, his rifle's not the same. And you got a friggin', race car. He's got a street car, but he's making laps with you because he's only racing his clock. He's not racing you. He's racing his clock. You are racing everyone because you don't know what you're doing. And so you're just looking at it, well, where am I? How did I get here? I don't know. I bought this stuff and ended up here. I must be great. You know what I mean? And so there's differences in your goals and there's differences in how you can look at that. And so again, even that's the process. How you get from day one, I want to do this, to doing it and being successful when you leave, right? Do you show up with one thing in your head and then by the end of it go, oh man, that was nothing like I thought. I got to change everything. And maybe that's a good thing, that it's a realization that what you thought would happen didn't. And so now it's like, okay, now here's my process. But what if it was a case where I'm envisioning this, I showed up and it was that, and now I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to try what I failed. I'm going to try this. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, I'll do this. Oh, I did good on this. And that's where I did good on this stage and I'm going to go home and repeat it, because the stage I did really bad at, I went home and tried it and I'm really bad at it. So I'm going to do the one that I did kind of good at, and then hopefully repeating that one enough will improve me in the one I'm bad at. So I can get some extra points there. And so they're hoping that the success bleeds into the other stages versus having a goal and then saying, okay, I need to do this in this stage. And if I go slow and methodical, here I can do it on the clock and get all my hits. Here I'm not sure what I'm doing. So let me go slow and methodical, get 2 or 3 hits instead of the 6 shots, and then learn where I need to be, learn where my rifle needs to go, take extra time to fine tune and burn in that successful sight picture, burn in what that successful recoil management looked like and felt like, right? You got to have those things. You got to be able to burn it in and be like, okay. But if you're lost in the sauce and you're flailing to grab anything, you're like, I need to float. Oh, I got something. What'd I grab? You don't know. You just grabbed, right? And so that's why I'm looking at the process. That's why a pipeline. That's why people who have a mentor tend to do better. Hey, this is my friend. He wants to do this now. We've been shooting together. I think he's ready for this. And then friend shows up and gets support, and then you see the success happens quicker than the guy who shows up doesn't really know. Third time he shows up, he has the courage to talk to someone. Fourth time he shows up, he's kind of getting something. Or if, he's not that patient or he's not that guy, when he gets to the fourth time and he's still grabbing for things, he doesn't show. He stays home. It's like, I'm just going to go to my range over here and shoot because I don't want to be embarrassed 4 times now. And nobody worked on my head to understand I'm technically not being embarrassed. I'm doing exactly what everyone does, but instead you think you're being embarrassed, right? Because 45th place, 45th place, 45th place. And so you're like, meanwhile, it's like, okay, let's take, and let's start working you in a direction that'll give you, or, right, how many people, and this is one that Chris works on, plateaus. That's what we're kind of talking about in a way, the guy who's always in 45th or something. People plateau. Understanding why they plateau, right? That's important. So there you go, man. It's the process. It's how you manage these events. It's recognizing one process leads to a different set of events, right? It's not a one and done with any of this. Maybe you get to a point where you settle in, but if you're a guy that each time you go to the range, you have to sort of warm up, you have to sort of take a couple shots to get into your groove. You notice things are slightly different the first couple, your first magazine doesn't act the same way as your last magazine, right? Your eighth magazine, hey Bobby, how you doing? Your eighth magazine is the cherry-picked group you're putting on the refrigerator, not the second or the first, right? It's your eighth try. So there's a process for you to get into the groove. There's a process for you to warm up, right? To get your brain into, hey, shooting's not going to hurt me. Hey, that bang's not so bad. Oh, this is cool. Okay, this works. Now I'm happy, right? Some people have a process. Some people have a brain that needs to go in and kind of like walk up to the line. Some people can appear on the line. Some people need to walk up to the line. And it's not good, bad. It's just, it is you. And just recognizing you and all that. So that processes and stuff. Man, we got I always say it's like I'm running into my 1 hour on here, and it's like so many people pop in on the hour, and it's like, "Oh, I got so many people listening to me. I don't wanna get off because 'cause they're all on right now." And it's like, but yeah, but it's like I just wanted to do the hour. I'm 55 in, and so I'm gonna do an hour and everybody and go chill out. I'm gonna go make some wings and sit in front of the couch and the TV probably and chill out. Like I said, going full bore now with assembling the book, putting the book together, talking about that side of it. And then even like Chris is part of the book because it's a different way of thinking. I talked in my previous one, the fundamentals. I talked some of them and I'll do a little refresher, but understanding his cone of fire. I think his cone of fire is important for somebody. And that's the tip to understand the trade, right? You can't do the tips and tricks without knowing some of the trade. In my mind, the trade explanation for people who want the shortcut is Chris's cone of fire discussion. When he talks cone of fire, I think that breaks down not only you, the individual, but your weapon system, the ammunition you're shooting, the wind component to it, and then how to reduce that cone or those concentric circles. Where can you reduce? Where do you have budget to reduce? Oh, you're a 4 mile an hour wind caller. You can cut that in half to a 2 mile an hour wind. That's going to 50% of that wind cone is going to come down. Oh, look, you slap the trigger. Your fundamental cone is this big because your group is 3/4. Now we work on your fundamentals and we got your group down to 3/8, right? That's going to shrink that cone. And so understanding that part of the trade without having to read a Brian Litz book, I think is going to help this tips and tricks book, right? Because I'm coming in with this introduction to tell you my philosophy on the processes. I'm coming in to tell you you can't ignore the process, but the better your process is, the shorter your event, right? Then we look at the gravity ballistics. That's doing your elevation on your own for your rifle. It's easy, it's repeatable. That information then feeds your ballistic calculator. By the same token, if you understand the gravity ballistics and how to get your elevation, got a worksheet. Craft Wind uses the same type of math. The same information really just changes the plane, right? We're using math in this plane for gravity ballistics. Well, we're flipping the math this way for Craft Wind. Both are analog. Both can be done pretty easily in your head. And then from there, we'll look at tools for positions. We'll look at things that'll help you, right? What's the drills? What's that? But that's the shortcut. And the shortcut that I'm going with is the knowledge and how to do it yourself versus depending on the magic box, right? You don't need the magic box if you understand how to get the answer the magic box is giving you in a simple way. The magic box can do all the longhand math it wants, but we have a shortcut, right? And so giving you the info on how to use the shortcut, the tips and tricks. So bringing Chris's information in with this book and sharing the book because of his method, I think is going to make this tips and tricks book really next level, you know? And there's some other things too. Like there's other books that are coming out that are going to include our stuff that aren't us. I can't say anything, but high-end book, somebody who's well read is going to be including gravity ballistics and craft wind as an element. And even if you go back and listen to the Emil Praslik talk at the International Precision Rifle Forum there, the shot cameo, he gives a nod, a tip of the hat to the short wind that we're doing. And that's going to be in the book, right? The tips and tricks. So I'm here putting stuff together, laying out my outline, getting it all ready for you guys. Going to take a minute. But thanks everybody for Sunday morning coffee with me. And I will see you guys this week. Like I said, the Springfield Armory Heat Seeker getting given away. You just pop into the hide, and this is the week we're gonna the first December 1st for that Springfield Armory Heat Seeker with the Leopold scope on it. So complete package, and all you got to do is log in and tell us how many rounds you bring to the range. Super easy, right? Piece of cake. Thank you everybody who's on listening and sharing and watching and telling their friends, hey man, listen to what those guys have to say. Appreciate you. A lot of feedback coming from the Hyde Cup still. Thank you everybody who's reached out. And even the guys are, I wish I could have went, getting a lot of that stuff as well. But we'll talk to you guys soon this week. Have a safe and happy holiday. If you're not logged in or if you're away with your family as you should be, go out, touch grass, right? Head out on the road and touch grass. We'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.